Ali Soufan is a former FBI Supervisory special agent. He has investigated terror cases before and after 9/11. Ali, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So you have said that you don't think a Paris-style attack could happen here in the U.S. Why not?
Well, you know, everything is possible. Let's put it this way. I think I won't feel that ISIS or Al-Qaeda have the capabilities to do something in the United States. I mean, a threat is intention plus capability. Do they have the intention? Absolutely they do. Do they have the capability? That's a totally different thing. I think we probably might have some sort of copycats, people who are not members of ISIS, people who didn't even go to Syria to fight. However, they have been in contact with the organization in the cyber sphere, and they would like to do something here to make a name for themselves. But I trust that our intelligence agencies, the men and women of the FBI, Homeland Security, the Joint Terrorism Task Forces around the nation, I think they are very vigilant, and I think they will deprive them from having such a capability and such intentions here in the United States.
And I think the people of France trust it as well. We talk a little bit about this alleged ringleader, Abdelhamid Abaoud.
Sure.
It seems like he was able to go to Syria, then return to Europe. Even though he was, you know, the police knew about him, they didn't realize that he had returned. And I want to ask you, is this a failure of security? Is it a failure of intelligence? What do authorities need to do to keep track of these alleged terrorists?
This is an excellent point, and I believe now people in France and people in Europe and people around the world are going to be discussing this. They're going to try to figure out how come you have an individual who is very well known to the intelligence agencies in Europe, very well known to the law enforcement agencies in Europe. He's even very well known to community groups in Europe. He was featured in ISIS propaganda before. How was he able to come from Syria to France, coordinate series of attacks in the street of France, right? Undetected. And I think that brings up two questions. Number one, that our intelligence and counterterrorism agencies these days really are operating in the dark. They're operating in the dark because of the advances in technology, especially when it comes to communications, apps, and so forth. And the second is that the system, the French, the European, the EU system of sharing information is broken. And today, the ministers of interiors of Europe are meeting together in order to find a way to rectify this. We rectified the intelligence sharing in the United States after 9/11. In Europe, there is still a lot of bureaucratic and intelligence problems that prevent them from sharing information with each other about their own citizens.
So how significant is Abaoud's death? Will it make a big difference in the fight against ISIS?
Well, it will make a difference in putting a closure of what happened over there. Also, it made a difference in preventing another attack from happening. As we know, in this Saint-Denis apartment, they found maps of Charles de Gaulle's. They found maps of other districts in France. They found explosives and weapons. So definitely they were able to disrupt the terrorist attack. But, you know, he's part of a bigger network, European network. I'm not even talking about the network in Syria and Raqqa that was involved in coordinating and running the attack. But also, it seems that there's a wider network in Europe, and that network is not only in France, it's also in Belgium. Today, for example, they are looking for one of the terrorists who was involved in France, all the way in the Netherlands, Saleh Abdussalam. So that gives you an idea about the complexity of this investigation and the complexity of the threat matrix, not only in France, but also in the wider continent of Europe.
And we're talking a lot about ISIS now, but we've seen in the past that when ISIS scores a blow, another terror group pops up to regain some publicity. I'm thinking about Al-Qaeda. And should we be as concerned about Al-Qaeda now as we are about ISIS?
Look, I'm happening today with Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda have armies in Syria. They operate under al-Nusra in Syria. It's official affiliates of Al-Qaeda in Syria. They have affiliates in Yemen, AQAP, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. They control large areas in Hadramaut, one of the biggest governorates in Yemen. They actually are in full control of the third biggest city in Yemen, which is Al-Mukalla. They have a significant presence in Libya. They have cells in Tunisia. They operate in Sahel, Al-Maghrib, Mali, for example, they have still affiliates extremely loyal to them, like a Shabab movement in Somalia. On 9/11, 9/12, Al-Qaeda had 400 members. That's it. And they were only in Afghanistan and in Pakistan. Today, they are all over the place. That cancer spread. And ISIS actually came out of Al-Qaeda. ISIS used to be Al-Qaeda in Iraq. So ISIS is another symptom of that cancer.
Right. Ali, Soufan, thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you.